Checking to see if everything's streaming. And it says we're live. Awesome. We are live. So I'm using a tool to stream to multiple platforms, and there's a bit of a delay in launching, but here we are, and I'll be speaking tonight on Purpose and Power Ascension, a new and not so new program I'll be rolling out in the new year, early new year, for participants, 90-day journey. And I'll be discussing a lot about what is happening inside of the program, what we'll be creating and experiencing, and what's possible for participants. I'm excited. There's a lot I'll be sharing here. I'll make this a very valuable video. I'm just saving the post description right now into Facebook so that that can be there. And the website link that I have listed isn't active yet, but I'm looking for using this video in the future. But if you're watching me live, awesome. So Purpose and Power Ascension, as I explained in the description, it's a 90-day online live and interactive video coaching and training experience that allows participants to become conscious of the hidden factors that are affecting performance in any and all areas of life. So in my 20 years of personal development and I would say self-destruction in some ways, in a good way too, I had to really tear down some old aspects of self and just peel off old aspects of self to bring forth new aspects of me and recreate myself. I've discovered a lot of things in that 20 years. It hasn't just been about self-development. It's been about the development of other human beings right from the very inception for me. So pretty much 20 years worth of working within myself, seeking understanding about life, the meaning of life, significance of life, how human behavior is working, it's how it's governed, the science behind it, and how can I help other human beings. I had a profound awakening around the 20-year ago mark as well, right when I began my journey, where I was experiencing the complete openness to what I call the central axis of life within myself, where I was experiencing a fountaining of life force, just like a luminous fountaining of life force, and this sense of like total certainty of like my own immortality and connectedness to all things. I mean, I was definitely transcendent of my typical mind and my typical state of consciousness and how things really were for me up until this very miraculous moment. And, I've reflected on this for many, 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 many years to understand it. And then more than that, what was interesting to me was like, since it felt so good to me and it felt so powerful and liberating and real, more real than anything else in my life before, or even up till now, I was just like, how can I bring human beings together to experience this so that we can experience it? I want more, right? I mean, I want more of this experience of aliveness and vitality and like the sense of like core certainty that was not like mustered up by me, but it was like a revelation of this presence that is alive in me and as all of us. And there was just a complete knowing where everything just made sense. And then, that experience dissipated and I found myself, back in the world of, my regular consciousness, except now I had this memory of this encounter. And I was interested in sharing this with other people. And I noticed that other people thought I was nuts. They thought I was crazy. They couldn't understand it. They couldn't relate. It wasn't real for them. So I was like, man, they don't know. And I was kind of shocked by all this. So they didn't know is what I found out. People don't know, or what I'm saying doesn't make sense to them. But I was determined to figure out a way to help other people access this part of ourselves. And I was clear that it's in everyone. This wasn't some special event that happened because of who I am, some special creature on planet Earth. I was very clear that this was the central axis of all life, every human being, every organism, every plant, every anything. And that I just happened to have this very clear experience and awareness of it. And that allowed me to really be resetting my compass for life, the direction I was moving in for myself, and also the direction I wanted to lead other people in. Because now that I witnessed this central axis of life that I am, that we all are, it was like, man, like what else is there? There's nothing else. Like this is all there is. And so everything I've done in my life from then till now, I wouldn't say everything, but I would say the majority of the choices I've made revolve around understanding that experience, that encounter I had, and how to bring other humans and myself back into alignment with it, and to integrate that and to live that out in a way that brings other people into it, right? So I just want to create like a chain reaction to where people everywhere are awakening to this experience of themselves as the center of everything, not from an egoic standpoint, but from an expanded beyond egoic standpoint, like the center is everywhere and yet nowhere. It really is like that. We're all centers of this thing, and it's possible to experience the center as an all present, an omnipresent, and everywhere present state of consciousness. And and yet we experience ourselves as individuals, and that's fine. But Purpose and Power Ascension is really about breaking through the limits, the barriers of consciousness, overcoming the hurdles, the challenges, the obstacles that impede our performance as human beings inside of our relationships, inside of our business, inside of our personal well-being, our health and management. It's really a deep dive into the functions and the workings of human consciousness. It is about understanding and mapping the territory of the interior aspects of ourselves, understanding the functions of thought, emotion, and behavior, their relationship that they have together, and how to gain mastery and control over these dimensions. First, by clearing or integrating those parts of ourselves that we're resisting, negating, ashamed of, unwilling to even look at. And then even if we become willing to look at it, it can become so difficult to find and see on our own. That what I've put together is a 90-day journey where we will come together, myself, participants, and a team of coaches who will be serving the participants, and we will actually learn various distinctions and principles that I've distilled down over the years with very good and very precise language. Like, what does it mean to be a spiritual being? Not as like some kind of metaphysical concept, but what are the functions of a spiritual being, and how does that relate to ordinary human living? And for example, a spiritual being, by definition, my definition that I have embraced and have been working out, is that a spiritual being is a cause capable of producing effects and also being aware of those effects. So that's what I mean about the science of human behavior and high performance. There is more distinct terminology, more defined terms that reveal the functions and the workings. So moving away from abstract terminology to describe spiritual, metaphysical, or behavioral principles and concepts, we're looking at the science and the linguistics that more clearly articulate these functions so that we can gain mastery over them. First, we need to understand them and distinguish them, and then we can actually begin to gain mastery. And so the distinctions that will be taught are a part of the program. The next part of the program is the interactions, the interpersonal processes, the coaching, the disciplines rather than disciplines that we will put in place so that we can experience for ourselves these principles, these concepts, so that they come alive for us. I'm not interested in passing on any dogma. I'm not interested in passing on ideas that don't make a difference. What's important is that we distinguish aspects of ourselves, of our consciousness, and how it functions, and then we put into practice different practices and techniques and ways of being and acting and speaking and relating to other human beings and with other human beings, so that we can see for ourselves that these things can be known, right? So that we can gain access to our abilities that we haven't had access to before. So having the ability to understand what ability is and how to take command over our ability to act and produce specific results in life is what this is all about. And so the way it'll be structured is we'll meet weekly in Zoom video like this, but as a group, We will have, you'll have weekly coaching calls if you're a participant, and with your coach, and you'll be working out whatever area of your life there is something to work out in. And you may know what that is, you may not know what that is. There may be an issue that's conscious and present for you. Maybe there's a breakdown in your relationship. Maybe there's a breakdown in finances. Maybe there's a breakdown, something's missing inside of your career path. And basically, this is an opportunity to come into light or awareness. It's a way to have others supporting you in seeing what you cannot see, to help you align with your core purpose and full expression in power. And so that becomes the ascending opportunity for you. As you get more aligned with your true purpose, what's really important to you and why you're here, and what you're living into as a future that you desire, and then having the amount of power available to really move in an accelerated rate towards achieving that. I'm calling that the ascension process, rising up in the levels of consciousness, right? Different levels of consciousness exist at different times in our lives, and we would like to progress into new levels of awareness, new levels of purpose, new levels of power. And so we are ascending together, going above and beyond where we have been. And this way of coming together inside of Purpose and Power Ascension allows us to interact in ways that uncover the workings of consciousness, the way we perceive reality, the way we create reality. And because it's interactive, you'll have a chance to be able to decode your own consciousness, to understand what's causing your results, what's causing your behavior, what's causing the emotions, what's causing the thoughts. You'll actually start to be yourself. And I would say that this program's objective ultimately is the restoration of self-determinism. Self-determinism, where you're able to truly choose and determine where you're going, that you're not driven by unconscious control patterns or the belief in the causation of others in your life as if they are in control, as if your power has been handed over, right? Like you've habitually just let yourself be directed by someone else, or you've been directed internally by those patterns of thinking and emotion that lead to certain behaviors that you're repeating over and over automatically. That's not freedom. That's not self-determinism. That is other determinism at that point. Now, inside of trauma, in the conversation around trauma that we'll be having, we're going to decode and demystify what trauma is. Everybody's got trauma. There's degrees of trauma, but everyone has some experience of a trauma. And a trauma is a moment of pain and unconsciousness. It's a moment of not being able to express the fight or flight response that our nervous system is seeking to fulfill in a moment where there is an external force that's beyond our power and control and ability to manage at whatever age we were. And there are various decisions that are made about ourselves, about others in the whole world, and the way the world works. There are conclusions formed, and there are neurological and biochemical and physiological things that have taken place and that are recorded, and that can be what a lot of people call triggered or re-stimulated. They can be in chronic re-stimulation and actually suppress our intellectual and our emotional faculties and suppress behavioral opportunities that we would ordinarily have. And so by identifying and integrating these traumas, we can put them to rest. We can put the reactionary control mechanisms at rest, and we can actually release and discharge the force inside of this other determined factor of consciousness, which I will call a trauma, and all the conclusions therein, right? And it's not what happened to us that's the most damaging. It's what we determined inside of what happened about ourselves, about others in the world, that is the most damaging. So we'll be unpacking self-limits very directly. You'll be fully supported by others in the group. You'll be supported by your coach. You'll be supported by me. We'll be supporting one another. This is going to be probably one of the safest environments you've ever been in. One of the most opening environments you may have ever been in, where you will feel acceptance and freedom to reveal yourself. It's designed this way. It's intentionally created to be a space for you to experience yourself without the shame, blame, judgment, without the condemnation, at least coming from the outside, right? You might experience it as present inside of you, but that's a great thing to discover and see. And we'll be able to witness and identify that and give peace to that. Amongst many other things, we'll be setting objectives and goals. You'll be moving towards those things that matter to you most. You'll be moving in that direction. And as you move in that direction, there will be certain things that show up on the path. And what shows up is exactly what's going to show up by design. We're going to take a look at all of those things, and we're going to deal with all of those things, and we're going to process all of that, and we're going to integrate all of that, and we're going to expand from all of that and be empowered through all of that. So this is a journey that allows you this opportunity to know yourself more fully and more completely, and in so doing also know others. You will be a contribution to every member and participant. You'll be a contribution to the coaches if you're a participant. If you are a coach or want to be a coach, let me know. You'll be a contribution clearly to participants, but you'll be contributed to as well by being a coach. Now, this journey that we're taking is going to be highly interactive, highly engaging. It's going to be a participatory journey, and it will call forth the best of you. It may even bring out the quote unquote worst of you, not so that you fail or look bad or feel wrong in any way, shape, or form, but that which has been lurking in the background behind the scenes with its claws inside of you, keeping you from your best life now. Well, we're going to, tackle that together. We're going to really organize ourselves in such a way that what has been in the darkness and had power over you because it has been hidden in the darkness, well, that light that we're creating together as a team is going to shine brilliantly into that space. And we will expose all those things for what they are, truly a nothingness, something made up, perhaps lies upon lies upon lies. And we're going to get to the bottom of who you are. And believe it or not, there actually is a thing called truth. The truth exists in and of itself. It is that from which you grow and come from as a living entity. And the truth is in you. The truth is simply oftentimes, and most oftentimes in a human being, covered and distorted and fragmented by a function of consciousness that I will call the accuser. And the accuser, as a function of consciousness, lives in almost all of us. We almost all grow up, and the accuser, I'll define it as it's an implant. It's like an implanted program. It's almost like a virus injected into the human species. And this accuser has various effects upon our abilities. And some people have a greater viral load of the accuser than others. But we all have that to some degree, and it all impedes and impacts our performance to some degree. Now, the accuser is a liar, right? We expose the accusatory voice as a liar, and not as a concept, but as a direct encounter and experience with oneself as an innocent being capable of, realizing oneself as one with the essence and the truth that was and is to come. That is what we call life. It's life everlasting. It just is what it is that it is. And it just continues to be that. And we all are in that and from that. And we will engage that directly and encounter that. And we will also encounter those things that have prevented us from living in the encounter with that and living inside of the space of our own truth. And so your purpose and your power are present already. They are there in raw form, potential that is wanting and yearning to be unleashed, just like a plant is inside of a seed. It wants to crack that seed open, and with the right water and the right conditions, the right environment and the right soil, right, all those right factors, those perfect factors, cause the seed to break open. Every participant coming into this program will be like a seed full of potential. And this environment by design will enable you as a participant to receive the nutrients, the water, the soil, the ground of support, right? And the sunlight and even the wind. All the elements will be here and your seed will crack open. And the potential that's been dormant, that's been encased, and you might even think something's been wrong with you for all these years, but no. It's just you have been in the experience of enshroudment. You've been enshrouded and encased inside of a a, 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 a layering of consciousness that wants to give way. Like the natural expression of you is ready to break through the layer. And whatever that layer was, it may have been protective layer of sorts, just like a seed is a protective, has its protective outer coating, right? Right. But eventually that outer protective coating is no longer needed. It has to give way, right? The seed must die to what it was to birth this new thing that it is. And so this program is a breaking open of the encasement of consciousness that has been the seed capsule container, right, of you, right? And whatever all those functions of your mind and emotion and actions have been that have kept you and preserved you a certain way, we're about to kind of, but they're not working anymore. And you know that something's not working. We're about to crack that open and release you. So that's the space that we're creating here inside of Purpose and Power Ascension. If what I'm sharing resonates with you, feel free to send me a direct message and let me know. Also, you could visit my website and book a call with me, paid for by me, valued at $250 if you want to learn more. All right. There's no obligation to do anything. I'll just be, if you're interested in what I've been sharing, you've watched this video, you're like, hey, this sounds good. I want to know more. I'd like to actually talk to you to see if this is a good fit for me. Then feel free to book that call with me and jump on. And we'll discuss that. I'll answer any questions you have. We'll take a look at even where you're at in your life. And I promise you that we'll create a breakthrough even on that phone call, just because that's what I do. I can't help myself but be that person. And you may decide that you want to jump into the program and participate with me. And I would love that, right? Like if you're feeling called to it, then I know that you're it. So I'm being myself and I am putting myself out there, and I promise to give 110% of all that I am to this program. and looking for people to come bring themselves to it as well. I promise you it's going to be a high energy, high impact, highly engaging experience. It's going to be unlike anything you've ever done. And it will make you come alive in ways that you've wanted, dreamed of, or maybe didn't even know was possible. And you'll be fully supported. Okay. This is a team game. This is us coming together as a group of individuals, all working together. And that just brings energy to the system. I promise you, the way this program is structured, it's designed to maximize energy throughput for every individual in the program and energy receptivity, so that you can actually receive more energy and actually be more of an expression of energy in the world that you're meant to be. And therefore, you'll have a greater influence on your world. And influence is what we're all looking for, because influence is what gets other people enrolled in our possibility of creating. It gets them on our team. It gets them in agreement with us. It gets them to take the actions that we want them to take, right? Like maybe for themselves, but the ability to be an influence in the world will explode in you through this program, because you will learn where you're losing power, giving power away, unconsciously maybe, but still you'll see factors of consciousness that have not allowed you to fully express who you are and get the results that you're looking for. So this is Purpose and Power Ascension. I'm Vince Bellito. If you have any questions, like I said, direct message me, private message me, go to my website, vincebellito.com, book a call with me. I'll buy the coaching call for you. I'll pay for it, $250 value. We'll talk. You may decide you want to join the program. Maybe you won't. It doesn't matter to me. Our conversation will be a blessing and enrichment to each of us. But hey, come with an interest if that's you. Don't be afraid. Don't feel bad. Like if you're curious and you want to know more, come. I invite you. So I appreciate the opportunity to share with you, and I look forward to taking this journey together with you. And thank you. Sending blessings.